Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Jeff, aka BeardNaysh, and today we got another banger video for you guys. Before we jump into today's video, if you like this content, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and just a reminder, we launched the Beard Nation Discord. This Discord is going to be focused on Call of Duty and Warzone. It's for you guys to squad up. I'm personally doing giveaways for different battle pass items, different skins, all that kind of fun stuff on a monthly basis. So if you guys want to join the Beard Nation Discord community, the link in the description is below. All right, so jumping into today's video, I know the title seems a little bit clickbaity, but there's some truth behind that. PC does provide a number of advantages over console when it comes to Warzone. A lot of these features are just things that are not available on console right now, and that doesn't mean it's going to be not available in the future or things are going to change, but as of right now, there's a number of features that are available on PC that are not available on console. On the flip side of that, the next gen consoles that just released PS5 and Series X, Series S, they are starting to close that gap on PC, specifically in some of the features that we're going to cover today. And you know what? I can see down the road where things are going to start to really even out. I mean, yes, you can always pay more money for a crazy performing PC. The sky's the limit, but at 500 bucks, these consoles are really pumping out some serious performance. I do want to caveat too that having the best PC in the world is not going to make you the best Warzone player in the world, vice versa. I mean, having a PS4 is not going to make you the worst Warzone player in the world. I'm sure if you took a pro and you gave him a PS4 and you took an average Warzone player and you gave him the highest end PC in the world, I'm sure the pro is going to beat him on a PS4. That's just from experience and skill and time spent into the game. So don't think you have to go out and buy the most expensive PC to get the best performance, but there are certain things that are going to give you an advantage and are going to help kind of close that gap. That being said, here are the key points that we're going to touch upon for console versus PC in Warzone. Number one is going to be price. Number two is going to be frame rate. Number three is going to be the FOV slider. Number four is going to be NVIDIA filters. Number five is going to be cheaters and hackers. And number six is going to be mouse and keyboard versus controller. So first and foremost, we have price. Now, price for a PC can range from anything from $600 to, honestly, the sky's the limit. You can spend up to 10K. I mean, you can spend more than 10K. I mean, it's absolutely crazy in what you can spend for a PC. The sky is the absolute limit. But on average, for something that competes with the next gen console, you're looking at an average between $1,200 and $2,000, depending on what you want to do. Now, you look at it in the price compared to that console, you're looking at $499, which is completely different. You're looking at the price of 2 to 4 consoles for one PC. And yeah, that's a huge difference. I mean, it's much cheaper to go and buy a Series X. And granted, there are some scalpers and different issues that are happening right now, but I mean, the same thing's happening for PC. But if it's in a perfect world where there's no scalping, you're looking at $499 versus anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 for a comparable performance PC. Maybe a PC that's going to go a little bit beyond that, but really not that much. Now, full disclaimer, I am no PC building expert. I built my first PC a while back. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I do prefer it over console in 99% of applications, but full disclaimer, I'm no expert in building PCs. I'm sure there's ways to build them for cheaper or more economically, but on average, from what I read, $499 versus anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000 is your average price. So clearly here, the winner is the console. So next up on the list, we have frame rate. Now, looking at console, your average PS4 is technically rated for 60 frames per second, but on Warzone, you're not going to get that unless you have a PS4 Pro. It's from the test that I've seen, PS4 Pro will run Warzone at a steady 60 frames per second at 1080p, but the regular PS4 and Xbox One are around like 47 to 50. They might jump up to 60. They might be a little bit lower than 47, but it's much lower than a PC. So even at 1080p, I mean, your average PC is running anywhere between 120 to even up to over 200 frames per second at 1080p, which is a way bigger difference, and it's much better and an advantage. Now, if you're looking at next gen consoles, one thing I did want to call out is that Xbox Series X can run Warzone at 1440p at 120 frames per second. This was what I was running before I built my PC, and you know what? It's pretty awesome. Like, jumping up from that 60 frames to 120 frames is not going to necessarily make you a incredible Warzone player overnight. But honestly, like, after playing with that for a while and going back just to see what it was like I couldn't imagine playing at 60 frames. I mean, just having that smooth refresh rate, you feel like you have that advantage over players when you're jumping around corners. Like when you're seeing at a far distance, things don't look super choppy. Like it's completely crazy. And then you look at PC, like my current setup right now at 1440p without any DLSS settings on, I'm running at about 165 frames, and it's pretty much maxing out my entire monitor right now. And that's one thing too I did want to cover on, like gaming on a TV versus gaming on a monitor is completely different, but you do have the option to game on a monitor with your console. I mean, that's what I was doing prior to building my PC. I had a 165 hertz monitor, well, 165/144 hertz monitor, 1440p. I hooked up my Series X to it, and that's what I was playing on. And when you're right up close to like a 27-inch monitor versus sitting at like a far distance from a 65-inch TV, it's honestly much easier to see your enemies on a smaller monitor up close. That's why all the pro gamers are playing on monitors. They're not playing on TVs. You might think that bigger is better, you're gonna be able to see more, but honestly, like, it doesn't really work that way. And there's the whole point of like latency. You have a TV, the average, even on game mode, the average latency of a TV can be in like the 40s or 50s, whereas like my gaming monitor, it's anywhere between 1 and 10, depending on what setting you have it on. And yeah, you might not think that latency is a huge thing, but when you have latency with your internet, then you have latency with your TV. I mean, take a brand new smart TV, turn off game mode and click your analog stick and see how responsive it is, then turn on game mode and see the difference. I mean, it's almost night and day on most TVs, and you don't really notice it until you notice it. And when you start playing on PC where there's not much latency at all, it's kind of hard to go back. And latency and ping are honestly, I think, king over anything else, even frame rate. When you have any latency that's in your system, whether it's through your wireless controller and it starts to stack up between your HDMI cord and starts to stack up through your monitor or your TV, you're adding seconds that your enemy can have a competitive advantage. And in a world of crossplay, you're playing against players who don't have any latency or very minimal latency versus your TV on your console. So I mean, take that into consideration. It's definitely going to be, the PC is definitely going to win here in this category regardless, but I think the gap is starting to close with consoles like the Xbox Series X. It's very unfortunate that the PS5 just doesn't have 1440p capability, or it can't even run Warzone at 120 frames right now. And like, I was a huge PlayStation fanboy, and I only got a Series X because that's the only thing I could find. But after finding out that Warzone doesn't even run at 120 frames per second, I'm kind of glad that fate took me down the road of Xbox, because quite honestly, that kind of stinks. You're spending all that money for a brand new console and you can't even take full advantage. So I mean, I'm definitely giving the win here to PC, having that frame rate. As you can see here with a lot of these settings, like I can go at any different advantage here. I can set my frame rate limit. I can lower my resolution. I can match that to my screen. There's so many options here that you do not have with the console. It's almost unreal. And you know what? These things add up. Yes, it's not going to make you the best Warzone player in the world, but it's certainly going to give you an advantage if you've been playing on a console for a long time. So next up on the list, we have the FOV slider. Now, the FOV slider is currently not available on any consoles for Warzone, but on Cold War, the field of view slider is available on next gen console. And I do want to point out how big of an advantage this is. This is another big win for PC, at least for now. I certainly see these upgrades coming up when they come out with a port, like a next gen port for PS5 and Xbox Series X. That's truly a next gen port, not just an upscale of the original version. As you can see here, there's this field of view, and I believe the console average right now for Warzone is 80. So you can see here, and here's 120, which I'm currently at 120 right now. There are some advantages here, and there's some, I guess, perceived disadvantages depending on really how you want to look at it. But quite honestly, I think that having a larger field of view is an advantage no matter what. And I'm going to jump into some gameplay here and show you. So looking at the FOV slider in game, as you can see here, this is currently at 120. So if we look to the right over on the edge, you see that the window is completely in view. Then you can see that the couple boxes over there are in view, and followed by the pillar, which is pointing towards the center. Now let's bump this down to 80. Here's 80. As you can see, the pillar's gone, the window's gone. This is what you're seeing on console. So you're barely seeing anything. Let's go back one more time and check this out. Let's go back to 120 here. So at 80, you can only see from here to maybe here. At 120, I'm getting all the way out to the window, and I'm also getting out to here. Now, some people don't like to play at the full 120 because it has kind of like a fisheye effect and what have you, but quite honestly, like, it doesn't take long to get used to, and I think having that full visual advantage is great. And for me, I find it's easier to aim, I find it's easier to get shots on my target, easier to have that little bit better visual awareness. And I got to give it to PC here. Until the next gen consoles, or at least port this for Warzone, I mean, you really can't beat this. This is like crazy. Like, you can see so much. It also looks like you're kind of like running faster as well, but you're definitely not running faster, just more of a visual effect. And it's just kind of crazy. I mean, I think console needs a stat. So again, I'm giving this to PC. So the next thing I want to talk about here, and this is another PC specific thing, but it's not necessarily just like any PC. It has to be an NVIDIA RTX graphics card. There's got to be some specifics here. And this is the NVIDIA filters. So I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison. Right now I have my filters on. You can see that Warzone's very well lit. I can see just about every single corner. But if I'm to turn that off, look how dark this is. This is basically the stand. I even have a flashlight on my gun, and it's just completely crazy. Like, we're walking around here, like any corner, like I have my brightness turned up too. I mean, it's so difficult to see. I mean, let's jump right back to the filters on. You see, it completely brightens things up. And also Warzone has like this weird haze to it, like almost like a white haze, and it's, I don't know, it's just not sharp, and it's not bright or brilliant, and like I don't know why, it just drives me nuts. Let's go back and try this one more time. There's off. You honestly can't even see here in the right corner. Let's do a split screen here. So now we have a split screen. On versus off. It's literally a night and day difference. Let's walk. Let's run around. Like, even in the well lit parts, like look at over here versus this. Like, you can't see anything. In Warzone, I mean, Warzone has made some improvements to this, but it's still complete trash. Got a guy in here. I really don't know what they're gonna do about this. They've made some improvements to the colors outside especially, but there's still an issue with the haziness and the darkness. I mean, you just can't see things. And these NVIDIA filters, again, this is only available on PC, and it's only available on PCs that have NVIDIA RTX cards. So again, another specific advantage to PC. Next up on the list, we have the whole cheaters slash hackers kind of conundrum. And I do want to point out that cheating and hacking is not something that's just localized to PC, but for the most part, the majority of it does reside within the PC world. And this is a byproduct of crossplay. And the one advantage that I do have to give the console here is that you can turn crossplay off. I don't think it's going to be the end all be all of hacking and cheating, but you're going to be able to play in that closed environment. You're going to be able to ensure that you're not going to have as many hackers, and you might even get easier lobbies too because of that. I mean, it's hard to say because skill-based matchmaking is so prevalent within Call of Duty, including Warzone, but I have to give this to the console that turning off crossplay is huge. And while I can turn off crossplay as well, like, it doesn't really give me much advantage because a majority of the cheaters and hackers do reside on PC. So I'm gonna have to give that to console. So last but not least, we have mouse and keyboard versus controller. Now, I think this really all comes down to personal preference. I'm on controller on PC. I run the Scuff Impact. I like to have paddles. I'm just so used to running a controller that it's hard for me to kind of migrate off of that. But from what I've tested, aiming on a mouse is amazing. I'm just not used to using the keyboard commands as like strafe and move forward. It's just a little bit awkward. And I think if I honestly put the time in, that I would be able to commit to it and probably be pretty good. But I like my controller. I like aim assist, and that's one of the advantages that you do have over mouse and keyboard, is that you have aim assist and you're able to strafe and you're able to get that kind of snappy aim and that real sticky aim, and you don't have that on mouse and keyboard. And I think especially for close gunfights where you're strafing, like, it's a big advantage. But once you start to get out over like that 15, 20, 30 meter range, that's where the mouse and keyboard, I think, shines and really starts to show itself, because controlling recoil is as simple as just pulling down your mouse, and you can do that on like your giant mouse pad like I have, and it seems to be much easier than trying to move your joystick around. Even though I'm running like the longer joystick and I'm running a lower sense, it's just much easier to get that snappy like pinpoint aim with the mouse and keyboard, or excuse me, with the mouse versus the controller. So I mean, I have to say this is a tie. This is all personal preference. I mean, I'm still a controller, probably not going to migrate anytime soon until I maybe practice some more, but I like it. I think it's really dependent on what you like. I mean, personal preference for me, I like aim assist. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you like this content, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the notification bell, support BeardNaysh. Anything that you guys do to support us really helps, keeps me motivated to keep pumping out these videos. Additionally, do not forget to subscribe for the Discord channel, BeardNation Discord. It's all things Warzone and COD related. We're going to build this amazing community. You guys are going to be able to find each other, be able to squad up. I'm doing monthly giveaways out of my pocket. I'm giving away battle passes. I'm giving away skins, all kinds of fun stuff on a regular basis. So make sure you go down to the link in the description below and sign up. But until next time, guys, peace.